Welcome to The Pulse with Lauren Bango, a DLL podcast series. This is your place for tips, trends, and insights into the world of healthcare finance. Now, here's Lauren.
Welcome back. We are joined today by Alex Johnson, the newly appointed, are you still new? The newly appointed country sales manager for healthcare here in the U.S. Welcome, Alex.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for having me. It's really been a fun entry into DLL. DLL has been my funding partner for over 22 years in the life sciences space, so really interesting to be on the other side of the table.
Way to set me up with that comment. I was going to say that I understand you are uniquely qualified to talk to us about the life science industry and financing therein. Why don't you tell us a little bit of your background? Because I think it's great, especially for the topic at hand.
Yes, Lauren, thanks. So I actually started for Thermo Electron North America back in 2002. So back in those days, Thermo Electron was just a company that bought technology companies and tried to scale them up. At that point, around 2004, Marion Deckers came in as the CEO and actually started what is now Thermo Fisher Scientific. They purchased Fisher Scientific at that point and really broadened their portfolio into the life sciences. So I had the opportunity to spend about 11 years at Thermo Fisher Scientific and really grew up within that company in the life sciences space. At that point, I moved over to Waters Corporation, which is a company based in Massachusetts, who sells exclusively life sciences technology, chromatography, and mass spectrometry systems. And spent 10 years there, actively managing and starting their global captive leasing group, and just a great experience. And just recently joined the DLL team, as you mentioned.
We are so excited to have you. So today you are jumping in with us to the life science industry trends. So maybe we can kick it off with you giving us an overview of the current state of U.S. life science equipment leasing market.
Sure, Lauren. So it's an interesting market. It's a diverse group of customers. Anyone who's interested in really measuring anything at a molecular level would be purchasing life sciences equipment. So it's a growing market. Expectations are that in 2023 there will be approximately $1.5 billion in leasing into this space, and that will grow at a compounded annual rate of 7.7 to 2.2 billion in 2028.
It's huge. So, what do you think the main factors driving that growth is?
So I think the main factors are really the high cost of the capital equipment that is used in life sciences testing. These companies are trying to develop drugs, which is a very expensive venture, and for them to really efficiently use their capital by using leasing and financing to do that helps them spend their money on people and research that needs to go into these development.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. So, you've talked a little bit about how expansive the life science industry is, but what segments do you see experiencing the most growth within this market?
So traditionally, life sciences is broken up into two major segments. That's pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical. But it's really important to understand the underlying ecosystem that feeds into the research development and ultimately the manufacturing usage of any drug, treatment, or diagnostic test. So pharma and biopharma invest billions of dollars every year into R&D in the U.S., but many times inventions start at the academic level or, quite frankly, a person in a garage. So there's a huge ecosystem around this in terms of developing this invention into something that actually gets FDA approved. All along this path, life sciences tools are used for testing, verification, and monitoring of the results. And the ultimate goal here is to bring a product to market that will improve human well-being. So this is a really interesting space to work in.
So you talked a little bit about the how expensive some of this equipment can be that they need for these evaluations they're doing. What type of leasing agreements are most popular? Because it seems like that's the obvious way forward for some of these companies.
Sure, I think it's a great question, and candidly, right now, what's driving the leasing products is the need for capital. So we do see a good mix of both capital leases as well as fair market value leases. Within this space, the technology is pretty stable. Some of the laboratories will use the equipment from 10 to 15 years. So at times there's not a need for protection against technology obsolescence, but at other times, especially on the research side, and especially when you're looking at some of the chromatography or mass spectrometry instrumentation, there really is a need to make sure that they stay on the cutting edge as this technology continues to evolve. So I think there will be a rise in some of usage type products, servitization of some of these products. The cost of the equipment is high, but also the servicing of these labs is high as well. So any way a customer can bundle these type of agreements together to get a stable cost of operating is really important to them.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the challenges that are facing the life science leasing market?
We had some recent financial challenges in the U.S. Specifically with the downfall of Silicon Valley Bank. So capital has been less available to companies. So it's really important for these manufacturers to partner with a financial entity to bring solutions to their customers to offer them products that will help them get the products they need in to work on research and development and drug development.
Amazing. And you talked about some trends that you think are coming. Are there any other emerging trends that you expect to see in the coming years in the life science equipment leasing market?
Sure. I see a few major trends emerging. First, customers really expect a more modern digital experience when it comes to leasing and financing options. So, currently, digitization of practical activities like credit applications, online payments, accounting of agreements are kind of the norm. But also, I think customers are looking for more sophisticated tools, such as tracking of equipment usage, when there's downtime, when the equipment needs to be serviced. So, really working together with the manufacturer and the servicing groups is important for these customers. Second, as costs for labor and resources continue to rise, companies will be looking for manufacturers to offer payment solutions. So, the manufacturers really need to step up and understand their customers and provide solutions that match up with their business plans. And finally, the big, unknown and probably the biggest driver is AI. And we know this will have a huge impact on the pace of innovation, creating situations where labs will, really require more flexibility. So if finance companies can respond with usage-based type products, this is going to be really important for this innovation.
Thank you so much. And before we go any further, if customers have or companies have questions about how they can take advantage of some of these things you mentioned, what should they do?
Yeah, but my recommendation is twofold. DLL has a lot of solutions that we can offer to customers, but we need to get deeper into these customer bases and really get a better understanding of how the end market is using the equipment, how they'll use it in the future, and really solve some of those bigger problems. But we have the expertise at DLL. We do this in other markets, and we think we can bring this to the life sciences space as well.
That's awesome. So, closing this up here and tying it with a pretty little bow, what do you think the future outlook for the life science equipment leasing market is in the US?
Lauren, I think the future market is very strong. We'll see it continue in the growth trajectory, driven by these technology advancements, the high price of the equipment, as well as increased costs of R&D activity. End of the day, this equipment that's sold into the life sciences space is improving humans' lives. Whether it's testing a baby for genetic disease as they're born, testing for toxicology screening on a patient, or really helping in the development of drugs. These technologies are really important and continue to grow as we go into the future.
So, you've listened to the podcast before, right?
Yes,
So
it's amazing.
I thank you for that. So you know that the final question every time is, do you have one piece of advice, one last nugget for our listeners?
Yeah, the one piece of advice I would have is really work with your DLL partner to get a better understanding of how customers are, what their buying habits are, how they're using the equipment. Also, try to match up what we're doing with the company's direction in terms of sales. I think that one of the misses we have at times is we don't combine the capital, the hardware, with the recurring revenues, the consumables, the servicing of that technology. by combining this, putting this into a digital platform, I think that's really where we get the big wins.
Thank you so much for being here, Alex. Welcome. We are so excited to have you, and hopefully I can have you back again soon.
Thank you, Lauren. This is fun.
All right, cool. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to The Pulse with Lauren Bango, a DLL podcast series. The opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. Nothing herein should be construed as legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. Join us again for the next edition of The Pulse. And thanks again for listening.